On the prequel to the 9th episode of This Film Is Lit, we're talking about the Justice League. We've got a pre-preview of our Christmas episode and a preview of Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. So stick around, because this film is lit. I guess it is technically Justice League.
Yeah, kind of.
Technically.
It's a comic book.
So like I was saying, our pre-preview, we need a little input from our listeners. Our second Christmas episode is going to be...
The Christmas Carol.
Yes.
No, A Christmas Carol.
Christmas Carol. And as you know, I would assume most listeners know, there are about a bajillion
Oh, yeah.
adaptations.
Only like 95 million.
Right. So we have chosen 5, right?
We've narrowed it down.
Narrowed it down to
5. Pretty popular, well-known
Yes.
adaptations.
And we would like you guys to select which one we should talk about and review in terms of adaptation of the literary form of A Christmas Carol to film. The adaptations, we don't have to go through them all, but there's the Bill Murray Scrooged, right?
Yeah, there's Scrooged, there's...
Muppet one.
My personal favorite.
A Muppet Christmas Carol.
And my favorite Christmas movie ever.
That's
Muppet
her
Christmas
vote.
Carol.
A Muppet Christmas Carol. The Patrick Stewart one.
Patrick Stewart one, which I had never heard of until
Really?
you brought it up to me.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I
love
had
that
no
one. That was
idea
like the
he did
first
one.
one. Maybe the first one I've ever seen. Maybe. I don't know. Because I know it happened when I was pretty young, and my dad was a huge Star Trek Next Generation fan, so I think that's why we watched it, because it was on TV. It was like a TV special, I think.
Oh, okay.
Not like I don't think it was released in theaters. I'm pretty sure it was like a made-for-TV version, I think. I could be wrong.
So we have that one, and then the Jim Carrey stop-motion capture one that came out a few years ago. I've never seen that one either. And
it's not stop motion. It's like Polar Express, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I meant motion capture.
Okay, yeah. Sorry.
I just get the two flip-flopped in my head. And another one, I can't... Oh, who is the guy that's in that?
I don't know.
It's an older one that my mom really likes. Hi, Mom.
Is it,
and I'm pretty sure it's a pretty faithful adaptation of A Christmas Carol.
Well, there's also that one.
So
the
then
other
there's that
old
one.
So those are the 5. We're gonna have a poll posted on Facebook and on Twitter, I would assume. So you can go to either of those places. You can search for that. This Film Is Lit on Facebook or at This Film Is Lit on Twitter. Vote. Let us know which one you're most interested in hearing us talk about. Now let's get on to our review of Justice League. What did you think?
So, I went into Justice League not really sure where I should set the bar. Mm-hmm. Because on the one hand, Batman vs. Superman, which I didn't really like. On the other hand, Wonder Woman, which I loved. And I feel like this sat somewhere in the middle.
It definitely sat somewhere in the middle.
I would give it like a high C or maybe a low B if I was feeling generous.
Yeah. I agree. I think the way I would sum it up, and it's kind of how I felt after the movie, and it's all like, if you're not gonna be good, at least be fun. And this movie did that in a way, like, because Batman vs. Superman, in my opinion, was both not fun and not good.
Yeah.
This one wasn't particular, and now I might be being a little harsh because I think this was not only considerably better as a film in general than Batman vs. Superman, and I will put this caveat in: we have not seen the Blu-ray extended edition. I have heard from good friend of the show, Sam Pixley, host of Three Wise Radio, that the extended cut helps considerably. He liked the original version, but he liked it even more having seen the extended version. I would be interested to watch it to see, but I did not like at all Batman vs. Superman. You did not either. This is both a better film in general, I think it makes more sense narratively. It's shot better. That's still some issues. And it's more fun. And it's more enjoyable. It has more fun character moments. Now, I mean, that's a given in a Justice League movie versus a movie where Batman and Superman are fighting each other.
Sure.
So, like, you're bound to have more fun in the team-up movie. But that being said, I think it was a better all-around experience while still not being a particularly great film or even particularly good film. At least I had a lot of fun watching it. And they did they kept it to 2 hours.
Yeah.
So it never felt like, because Batman vs. Superman definitely had those moments where why are we still doing this?
Like, the thing with Batman Superman, it was like we were watching it and it was forever long.
Yeah.
And at no point during the movie did I enjoy myself.
That's the thing. The only moment I explicitly remember enjoying in Batman vs. Superman, and this isn't going to be a shit all over Batman vs. Superman fest right now. I'm working my way through Movie Bob's really that bad Batman vs. Superman, so I'm about halfway through his 3-hour special on that. But the only point I remember enjoying, like actually enjoying in Batman vs. Superman, and I say remember, I'm sure there were others, but was the Batman fight scene in the warehouse. Just because it was one of the best shot Batman action sequences we've maybe ever had. Mm-hmm. Probably up until I'd say even including this movie. I think that particular sequence of Batman beating up like those 20 dudes in that warehouse where he like bursts through the floor and beats up everybody was awesome. But I mean, that was the only thing I enjoyed, and I could have just watched that scene. I don't need any context for it. It's just Batman beating up people. It didn't serve a greater narrative purpose. I mean, it did in the context of the movie, I'm sure, but like for me, what I enjoyed about it didn't serve a greater narrative purpose. I just enjoyed watching Batman like ziplining around, beating up random dudes. So
I'm gonna be real honest. I have no memory of that.
Oh, it was a good scene.
I don't remember that at all.
It was fun. It was a good, fun moment. And probably, like I said, my favorite thing about that movie, other than Wonder Woman, and I think Ben Affleck's a pretty okay Batman. But
anyway,
yeah, getting off
Justice
Batman
League
Superman
was better than Batman.
Much better,
Superman.
Considerably better. I wouldn't call it a bad movie. Maybe I would. A little.
I would call it a fair to Midland movie.
That's fair.
I really liked Ezra Miller's Flash.
Yeah, he was good, and we're really big fans of the CW Flash. We've watched.
I actually think I liked him better than.
Oh, that's sacrilege! I did not.
I
didn't. Well, to be fair, I'm not going to say I didn't. I might. It's just hard to judge. We've had, because I mean, the 4th season of Flash is on right now. We watch it once it shows up on Netflix. So we're 3 seasons of Flash in. Mm-hmm. So we've had a lot more time with him as a character.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of things that Ezra Miller did that I really enjoyed, and I could see liking his version just as much. But I just have a greater experience. I just have more.
I liked the lightheartedness that he brought to it, and and he brought kind of levity to the whole thing overall.
He did, which CW's does a little bit, but the thing about CW's is that since he's the main character, he has to have more gravity,
right?
Because he's not the comic relief, he's the main character, and the other character he has his comedic. He gets to be silly at times, but since he's the driving force of the drama of the show, he can't be quite as silly.
That's true.
Or else the gravity of the situations get lost a little, I think.
I mean, for me, I'm not a big comics reader.
No, neither of us are. So we should preface that with all of this is that neither of us really read any comics.
I'm not a big
I've read
comics
a half dozen
reader,
in my life.
But I grew up watching Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, and really enjoyed Young Justice when it was on.
Young Justice is better than Justice League, in my opinion.
It's not the time and place for this debate. And I've always had a soft spot for the Flash.
Yeah, no, he's a fun character.
Because I think he's a fun character, and I think he's a different kind of a character than a lot of the other heroes are.
Yeah.
And I felt like I saw more of what I liked from those cartoons in Ezra Miller's Flash.
Here's the thing. I think that's because they're Justice League cartoons. I think, when he gets to be a supporting character, he gets to play the comedic relief. Again, I haven't watched all the shows the way you have, but I think he's a much better as a support. Not even better. he's more enjoyable as a supporting character than he is as a lead. Because as a lead, he has to carry the drama of the show.
Yeah.
And so you can't have that same levity of the character that you get in something like this. Or like you got in Justice League.
I agree.
So
it's two different things happening.
Yeah. But no, he was really good. I really enjoyed him. One of the things, I know we talked about this a little bit after we got out of the movie, I really think you could re-edit the first 30 or 40 minutes of this movie and cut like 20 or 30 of it out.
Yeah, the first 30 minutes or so were pretty clunky.
Yeah, it was clunky, and a lot of it felt unnecessary of introducing and setting up characters that don't really need that much introduction.
Yeah.
Like
it was very setup and exposition heavy, and
which you had to do. Which, I mean, because they kind of had to do in the sense that. But I also think they didn't, because they went the different route from Marvel. They didn't want. I don't know the reasons. My guess would be they wanted to be a little different than Marvel, and didn't want to do the same. Okay, each character gets at least two movies of setup before we do the team up.
So Marvel, though, I mean, they started building their cinematic universe. Like the first Iron Man movie came out in 2008. And once that was such a huge success, like, they really started churning them out.
Yeah.
Man of Steel, which arguably the first movie
technically in this line, yeah, it would have to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that came out in 2013. And we don't know that DC was planning on doing a universe at that point.
You would think they were. Based on, because I mean, that's Man of Steel is the year after Avengers.
That's true.
So you would think they were at least slightly planning that direction.
I mean, I would just think it's a combination of A, not wanting to do the same thing as Marvel, and B, not having the foresight. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Because, we were talking about, like, before Avengers, we had a Hulk movie that is a different Hulk, but it's still technically, I think, canon.
Okay.
I think. We had a Captain America First Avenger, we had the first Thor movie, and we had Iron Man 1 and 2.
Yeah.
So we had, several movies before the first Avengers to set up all those characters. Yeah. So the only real character that was anybody introduced in the first Avengers? Loki? No, Loki was in the first Thor.
Loki was in the first Thor.
I don't think there was anybody. Unless I'm just blind.
I mean, minor characters.
Yeah, like maybe, minor characters.
Sure, no major characters.
No major characters. So, but in this one, they had to pretty much, I mean, you can say, completely introduce Aquaman, and now that some of them were technically in Batman vs Superman for half a second. Right. But completely introduce Aquaman, completely introduce Flash, completely introduce Cyborg. To an extent, like I said, they all had like a scene in Batman vs Superman, kind of.
Yeah. Well, Flash had that random moment where he like traveled through time to tell Bruce.
Yes, which we'll see in some future movie, I'm sure. It's like it's Flashpoint. I think they're setting up, right? I don't know. I
hope so.
I'm pretty sure. I don't know. That Sam would know. Or Crisis, I don't know. It might be Crisis. One of I don't fucking know about comic books, but I know those are big things. Losing fan base by me saying how much I don't know about all this shit. Anyways, getting back, I think they could have cut like 20 minutes out of the beginning and rearranged how they set everything up, and it would have been much more. It would have flowed a lot better. I think they could have started either with and this is a little spoilery, but the Diana flashback voiceover of when Steppenwolf first showed up to Earth and everybody fought him, and do like a Lord of the Rings style, like, prologue or whatever. Or they could have started with like the opening battles of Steppenwolf collecting the mother boxes and then transitioned in. There's a couple ways I think they could have done it. It's just the way they did it felt clunky and felt a little like I kept being like, and there was at least one or two scenes where I was like, I didn't need that. Yeah. I mean, I get what they're trying to do is like add more to that character so we care about them. Like, I know what they're going for, and I guess it kind of works, but like, I didn't really need it. Like, it didn't feel necessary, because I don't even care about, they're trying to make me care about these secondary characters. I barely care about Superman or Batman because they've been in such mediocre movies up until this point that I just don't particularly care. I mean, beyond the fact that it is Superman or that it is Batman,
Nah. I'm more of a Marvel girl.
No, I'm a Marvel person generally too. I I don't know. I mean, it just depends on. I'm a quality movie person.
Yeah,
I have no allegiances to any of them, so that's kind of how it's been. And Marvel's just made better movies in general so far.
Yeah.
But this one was definitely, between Wonder Woman and this one, they're moving-ish in the right direction. They're moving-ish.
Yeah.
Towards.
I think this was a step backwards after Wonder Woman.
It was a step backwards, but that's not fair. You can't look at it the same thing.
It wasn't a big step backwards.
It wasn't a big, but I also don't think that's fair because this is still that Zack Snyder. I think you have to look, because what Wonder Woman was so successful, the reason I think it was so good was that they let Catherine Bigelow make, right?
Patty Jenkins.
Wow.
You're losing us more fans.
Oh no. I'm going to cut that out. You know, there's only like 3 female directors, and I named one of the 3. So, yes, Patty Jenkins, what they let her do, they let her make the movie she wanted to make, which is what Marvel has been doing.
Yeah.
And so I think her vision is what drove that movie to be what it was. And then this one was sort of a mishmash of Zack Snyder and Joss Whedon, which it worked overall, but like, I think it's hard. You can't really judge this movie. This movie also, I mean, with as much as they reshot and changing directors, you know, halfway through because of the tragedy that happened with Zack Snyder, it's just, to me, it would feel unfair to say this is a step back, because this is like, for a team-up movie, again, Avengers is a masterpiece and maybe Marvel's best film, maybe. So, like, if you're comparing it to that, yes, it's a step back, but, like, it's still a positive. It's not, you know, it's not Suicide Squad and it's not Batman vs Superman. So it's still a positive. And with the fucking mess that the production seemed to have been, I can't fault it too much for pretty much being an okay movie that was enjoyable for the most part to watch. Like, I don't know. I know a lot of people going, or I had seen some reviews going in, and I had seen positive, I had seen negative. Well, I hadn't seen much positive. I had seen measuredly positive reviews and then a fair amount of critical reviews. And I tried to go in really open-minded, and I was pleasantly surprised. I thought it was pretty okay.
Well, and I think that was probably part of the problem, too, with the reviews, is that people were going in expecting it to be a mess.
Yeah.
And looking for that to some extent.
Colors a big... It's hard to go in and I mean, I'm not a critic, but it's hard when you're gonna like do a review on something or talk about something beyond just like with your friends or whatever. It's hard not to try to go in and make sure you don't have your perception colored. Like, I always, when I know I'm gonna review something for this or on my YouTube thing, I consciously don't watch anybody else's reviews. Occasionally I'll see like, oh, this person liked it or this, you know, but like, I consciously don't watch reviews because I don't want that experience colored by like what other people think about it. But anyway, I'm getting off topic.
I didn't look up any reviews. I think my perception was colored by the fact that I was worried it was going to be like Batman versus Superman.
Yeah, that's fair. Which, that's a fair, I mean,
yeah,
you had to expect that it might be.
But one thing that I wish I hadn't known about going in was Henry Cavill's, is that how you say his name?
Cavill, one of the two.
I have no idea.
I'm not exactly
Superman, sure. His mustache.
Yes.
Because I was looking for it the whole time, and we were real close to the screen, so, you know, his upper lip was like 40 feet across.
Yes.
I was like looking, like, can I see it? Can I see the CG?
Here's the worst thing about that, and this is where I wish I hadn't known, because if I had not been told anything, if I had no idea, I might have noticed that something looked weird.
Yeah.
But I would not have been constantly looking to the point where it was distracting.
Yeah. Which
was such a disservice. And now, I did my best to not let it distract me. And overall, like I said, I pretty much enjoyed the movie for the most part. I thought, you know, it's not a great movie, but I enjoyed it. So it didn't distract me to the point of, like, disliking the movie. But I was like, man, it's really unfortunate that that's going to, like, because it is distracting. Because you're sitting there like, oh, is that... Because you can tell when it's not, but it's not like the work. Like, it's not like overtly obvious and terrible. So it's like, if you had no idea, people who know would know, but like general audiences probably wouldn't notice.
Well, I wouldn't have known because I'm not, you know, unless the CGI is really obvious and like horrible, I typically don't Like, I'm aware of when something is CGI'd because I'm not an idiot.
Yeah.
But I probably wouldn't have noticed that if I had not known.
That was a weird thing that I get, because like I said, people who know, it was real obvious and it looked a little weird because it hits that uncanny valley. Mm-hmm. So I get it, but at the same time, it's like, God, why do we have to make this a big thing? Because now it's just going to distract everybody. I mean, I don't know. I just thought it was weird, but
I do love, though, that I think it was Paramount that made him keep the mustache.
Yeah, he's filming the new Mission Impossible film, supposedly.
So they forced the studio to spend, millions of dollars?
Had to be.
To CGI out his mustache?
It's
like,
a lot of the
petty
movie.
And amazing.
It's a lot of the movie that he's in that it's CG'd out. Like, it's a non-insignificant amount of him being in the film with a fake lip. So, that's... And his mustache that he has isn't that big. Like, how long does it take this man to grow a mustache? Could they not hold recording for 2 weeks while he regrew his mustache or whatever? I mean, like, I don't know. I just thought
Apparently
that was a little
not.
weird, too. We haven't talked about Aquaman. I enjoyed. Thought he was pretty good. I mean, he was fine and didn't really stand out particularly, but was enjoyable. Cyborg looked a lot better in the film than he did in the trailers. Mm-hmm. The CG of his
cyborg body.
And did you notice that this is a little bit of a spoiler, so if you haven't seen the film, at the very end of the film, when they're doing like the little flashes to each of the characters, like where they post the invasion thing, Cyborg's with his dad getting like upgraded, and they put him into like a more similar to the cartoon, I think, from what I remember, out like they like upgrade his mechanics, and it looks
they're giving him like an outer shell.
Yeah, so he looks less like a Transformer and more like Cyborg
did look a lot like a Transformer.
Yeah, which is what everybody hated. And I'm not a particular fan of that look. I get what they're going for with this, because the mother boxes are that weird, it's like that alien tech that's like weird, and they gave him like the big red circle on his chest and like made him look. And I was wondering if they like did that because everybody was like, man, Cyborg looks stupid, or if they had already had that plan. I don't know. I just thought it was interesting. I really enjoyed the movie, though. I mean, like I say, really, I quite enjoyed the movie. Much more than I thought I was going to. It had some really fun moments. Nothing surprising, because they not ruined, but we knew, spoilers, Superman was coming back. We knew, there's nothing really particularly surprising. But I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I had fun watching it, which was not the case for Batman vs. Superman, was not the case for Suicide Squad. Those were both just not good. And this one I thought was pretty okay. Like I said, a C, a C plus. Like, it's like on par with like Age of Ultron-ish. Yeah. In terms of like quality of movie mixed with like fun, like it's not particularly good, but like, because like the characters there's not a lot of character development. Like Flash was like the only one that really has any sort of character development over the course of this film.
True.
Cyborg a little bit. The characters we don't know, because
Aquaman a tiny little bit.
Yeah, kind of.
I mean, they alluded to it, but because we didn't really know him before this, it's not meaningful.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But, and the narrative is a tired narrative of an alien coming to Earth, going to destroy everything. If he gets these things, stop him from getting the things. Oh, he got the things, now go get the things back.
But, I think going with a simpler story was a good choice.
Yeah.
I think if they had tried to do something more convoluted, it would have been a little bit of a mess.
I mean, it is a real simple story. In the sense that it's like, get 3 power boxes, destroy world. Oh no, it has power boxes, stop him. Like, so in that sense, you're right, because they have so much other stuff to do. We can't really be like going back and forth and like through like a convoluted, a complex plot with the villain of like,
right.
It's like he needs bad things, he gets bad things happen, we stop bad things. Like, all right, cool. Oh, this is one little thing, and it's not a spoiler. There was a moment, and it just made me laugh. Batman is back at the thing when Diana comes in to help him, like reset his shoulder or whatever, and he pours a drink if you haven't seen the movie, or if you have, or you're going to re-see the movie, in the scene after, when he's pouring a drink after Diana comes in and helps him with his shoulder, I don't know if this was just Ben Affleck's choice or what, or just an accident, but it's a low ball tumbler, and he fills it like to the brim.
Oh yeah, I noticed that.
With whiskey or bourbon or whatever. Like it's like six shots worth of whiskey in one glass.
He has like a quadruple whiskey.
Yeah. He's just like glug, 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 glug,
I mean, you just soft fought Superman. Fair enough.
And that's what I was wondering, but it made me chuckle because I was like, oh, that is not normally how one would fill said glass. But he just fucking fills it up, and it made me laugh. So look out for that. And I was like, or maybe it's just Ben Affleck being alcoholic, because he was / is. I don't know. I'm not following his life, but
how dare you not follow Ben Affleck's life? Yeah, are you even an American?
Yeah. Time to move on to Chronicles of Narnia: The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Okay, book facts. Fun facts about The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Well, I guess first some fun facts about C.S. Lewis, because he was kind of an interesting dude.
Right.
The C.S. in C.S. Lewis, for those of you who don't know, stands for Clive Staples.
I did not know that.
But he went by Jack because he understandably hated the name Clive.
I guess. I mean, yeah.
Jack is better than Clive.
Sure. I don't know. Clive Owen would disagree.
I'm sure anyone named Clive would. Well, maybe not. Maybe people named Clive would agree more. C.S. Lewis, well known as a Christian author. Mm-hmm. But you might not know this.
Probably not.
In his youth, he was actually an outspoken atheist.
Oh, yes. I know I did know that.
You did know that.
I did know that.
He converted to Christianity as an adult, largely because of his friendship with J.R.R. Tolkien.
I did know that.
He died on the same day that Kennedy was assassinated. Wow. And that author Aldous Huxley, who wrote Brave New World, died the same day.
Wow.
So both of their deaths were greatly overshadowed.
Yeah.
So I mentioned this, and I think pretty much everybody who reads books at all probably knows this, that C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien were friends.
Yeah, I mean, at least you read fantasy.
Yeah,
I
think that's a pretty well-known, fun fact, trivia fact.
Yeah.
So they met while they were both teaching at Oxford, and Lewis taught literature, and Tolkien was teaching linguistics. With an emphasis on Old English languages. They were part of a writing group of professors at Oxford, which called themselves the Inklings, because writers are nerds.
Oh, God.
We're big nerds.
No, that's fair.
If I had a writing group, I do have a writing group, and it does have a name. Never mind. We're nerds. Tolkien famously hated The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Don't exactly know why. What? Why are you laughing?
No reason.
No, he hated it.
That's good. You just recognized inferior literature.
I'm gonna need you to simmer down. You can have a passionate love thing with Tolkien on another episode when we do Lord of the Rings.
I have so many problems with those books, so it's fine. I mean, not so many, but they could be, let's just say this about the Lord of the Rings. He could have found a way to make them a little less boring.
All right, we'll get to that. We'll get there one of these days. One of the popular theories, though, about why he disliked The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe was because Lewis jumbled together different mythologies.
Ah.
So the idea is that Tolkien was not here for that.
So you're trying to tell me that Lord of the Rings doesn't mix any mythologies? This isn't Lord of the Rings cast, so we didn't do a lot of research on it. Yeah, I mean, we can cover that when we get to Lord of the Rings. We're just making a checklist here for all the things we want to cover when we eventually get to Lord of the Rings, which will be 3 episodes, so we'll have plenty of time to do it. Oh, not 3 episodes from now.
No.
It will be 3 episodes.
That will be a 3-episode stretch.
I got scared because I was like, we're doing it 3 episodes from now. I haven't even started reading them yet.
I don't have time to read. No, we're going to have to do that like over a summer.
I'm just skipping all the songs. It'll like cut half of the book out.
Okay. So fun facts about the actual book. It was inspired by the children who were evacuated to the English countryside during the Second World War, escaping the air raids in London, which is how the book/movie starts. It took Lewis 10 years to write this book, largely because he destroyed the first draft of it completely because his friends hated it.
Tolkien included, probably.
Writers were also very melodramatic.
Yes, as artists tend to be.
The character of Lucy, the little girl who first goes through the wardrobe, is based on his goddaughter, Lucy Barfield. It is one of the best-selling books of all time.
Yes.
Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And for my final fun fact, I want to discuss the religious aspect of it for a minute.
Do you really?
Because I found a really, kind of interesting thing that I was not aware of.
Okay.
So the Christian themes in the story, as we know, are really obvious.
Pretty obvious.
And it's pretty widely considered an allegory for Christian mythology.
Yes.
But Lewis himself did not consider it an allegory. He considered it what he called a supposal.
What is, I've never heard of this phrase.
I'm going to read you an excerpt from a letter that he wrote in 1958 about this very topic. He said, "If Aslan represented the immaterial deity in the same way which giant Despair, a character in the Pilgrim's Process, represents despair, he would be an allegorical figure. In reality, he is an invention giving an imaginary answer to the question, what might Christ become like if there were really a world like Narnia, and he chose to become incarnate and die and rise again in that world as he actually has done in ours. This is not an allegory at all." So what I take away from that is that The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is not a Christian allegory. It's more like an AU fanfic of the New Testament.
Interesting. One, I may be not understanding / misremembering what an allegory is. Two, I also don't know the comparison he made, because I don't know the despair I don't know that character in that piece of work or fiction.
I actually don't either. I've never read the Pilgrim's Progress.
So I'm a little fuzzy on what his comparison there is.
I think so an allegory is a story where the characters represent abstract ideas.
Right.
Like a real obvious example is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. They represent good and evil, right? Abstract ideas. Right. So I think the thing here is that he's saying the characters don't represent abstract ideas. They represent essentially other characters, but put into a different story, which is why I'm calling it an alternate universe fanfic of the New Testament. That's fair.
To me, maybe allegory is the wrong word, but I always understood it as I guess maybe it technically shouldn't be called an allegory, but what he described it as, I was like, yeah, I know. That's what it, he's like, it's not an allegory, it's, what if Jesus was this character? What if the idea, Jesus basically existed in the universe of Narnia, what would that be like? And I'm like, I know that's what you're doing. I don't know. It just...
Well, I have always kind of read it as an allegory, although I have to admit that I think the description of it as an AU fanfic fits better.
Yeah.
But also, I'm not gonna argue with a guy who taught literature at Oxford about what an allegory is.
No, I'm not either. No, I'm not either.
That's not a fight I want to have.
No, I'm not either. I'm not arguing with him what an allegory is. I guess my thought is that, maybe I'm not expressing myself right here, is that what he's saying it is what I've always thought of it as. Mm-hmm. Maybe I attached the label allegory wrongly, but, like, I'm not, like...
Well, I think, it's been called an allegory for a long time, and maybe that just stems from a lot of people not really understanding what an allegory is.
I think that's the thing. I think that's probably more what it is, because, like, I think it's sort of like a layman's term of allegory, like, Aslan, sure, he doesn't represent an idea, but he represents a specific exact translation of a character from one universe to another, like, from one story to a different story, like... So it's not an abstract idea, it's just a translation of this character to an extent. Like, I don't know. It almost feels like a distinction without a difference to me, but, like, I guess I get what he's saying. Like I said, I don't know how to describe it. I'm just like, what he describes it as is like, that's what I thought it was, and I guess maybe just using the word allegory wasn't the correct way to describe it.
I think it's, like, adjacent to correct.
Yeah.
But maybe not necessarily technically correct.
Yeah.
But we also, might be having, like, just a difference in philosophy here, because Lewis wouldn't have regarded Christ as a concept.
Right.
He would have regarded him as, like, a real... thing.
Fair.
So...
Well, and that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I guess my idea is that even if I grant the idea that Jesus not as a concept, but as a person, as an actual character, and I say character, I mean, like, like whoever was a character, like fucking the King of England is a character, King George was a character, George Washington was a character. I guess my idea is that, like, that's still the concept of that person being translated in... It's not an abstract concept, but it's the concept of that character being translated into a different allegorical situation. I don't know. I'm not going to argue with C.S. Lewis about what the word allegory means. It just seems a little like an adjacent, like you said, almost like an adjacent
I think it's
definition of the word.
I think it's adjacently correct, and I also think it's possible that Lewis was being a little bit pedantic. Yeah. And
that's fair.
As literature professors are wont to be.
Especially ones that teach at Oxford, probably.
If any of my coworkers are listening to this, I like all of you.
Put your giant pants. No, that was interesting. I will watch the movie more keenly to kind of take on the idea of it as a fanfic versus an allegory.
Not sure if Lewis would have liked me describing it as a fanfic, but probably it kind of is.
Okay, so 2005 is when the film came out. British American, produced mostly, I believe, filmed mostly over in jolly old Britain, or in places in Europe for the most part. Directed by, and this is a fun fact, it's almost like we planned this, but we didn't, Andrew Adamson, who directed Shrek and Shrek 2.
Really?
Yes. The reason he got the job directing this film was because he was an Academy Award-winning director in Shrek, or from Shrek.
Paid off.
It won the 2005 Academy Award for Best Makeup.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Was nominated for a couple other things.
I guess they did have to do a lot of, like, prosthetics.
For, like, tumnus and all the other... Yeah, there was a lot of makeup, and I don't remember what else came out that year, but yeah, there was a lot of makeup going on. During the early 90s, the producers Frank Marshall and Kathleen Kennedy picked it up and were trying to get it made. They were planning a version set in modern times, and if the name Kathleen Kennedy sounds familiar... There's a reason for that. Kathleen Kennedy is, since like 2012-ish or so, the co-chair of Lucasfilm and basically runs and is like, she took over for George Lucas. She like runs Star Wars now. So, but yeah, she was her and a guy were trying to produce it in the early 90s, but they were planning on setting it in modern times, which was a little strange.
Yeah, that would have been weird.
That didn't work out. Eventually, Paramount or somebody, I can't remember who, but Paramount was starting to produce it. And their imperative was to set it in the United States as opposed to Britain. And they eventually people decided that wasn't right. They didn't like that. Didn't work out. Guillermo del Toro turned down directing the film.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
It would have been amazing.
Oh.
But the reason he turned it down is because he was making Pan's Labyrinth.
All right, fair enough.
Which, Pan's Labyrinth, if you haven't seen it, is a far superior film.
It's amazing.
It was an incredible film. And a similar, type... it's not similar.
There are similarities
to the narrative. It's this one tends more towards the high fantasy action adventure, whereas Pan's Labyrinth is more of a escapist fantasy, not mystery, but like
it's an allegory.
An allegory, yes. But kind of like Coraline to an extent, like a similar type of stories. Like
The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is an adventure story for children. Yeah. Pan's Labyrinth is not.
No, not at all. So unfortunately, we missed out on Guillermo del Toro directing Chronicles of Narnia, but he was doing Pan's Labyrinth, so 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Who knows? There's another fun thing: the two older kids, or actually all of the kids, during filming, when they first walk into Narnia, is the first time they had ever seen the set on camera, the one in the film. They blindfolded them when they took them to the set, because they wanted real reactions out of them. And the first time Lucy, the youngest one, right, sees Tumnus, that reaction is her first time seeing him. Because he's in the full get-up and makeup and everything, and that is her actual reaction. She screams or something, and that's her actual reaction to seeing that character for the first time. It won the BeliefNet Film Award for Best Spiritual Film of the year.
BeliefNet?
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Is that still a thing?
Apparently. Well, it was in 2005. I don't know if it's still a thing. And this is one more little random fun fact that I thought was interesting, is that the wolves that destroy the beaver's home are real wolves.
Really?
Not CGI or anything like that. They were mostly real animals. There was one or two of them that were CGI. But they had to digitally... This is the fun fact part of it. They had to digitally remove the tails of the wolves and add in CGI tails. Because... I love your face right now. The reason will make you so happy. Because... their tails kept wagging too happily while they were filming the scene because they were all having too good of a time, and it made them look less vicious.
Oh my god.
And then showed them to be happy and frolicking around, so they had to remove their tails that were wagging about too joyously and put in angry tails.
That's the most precious thing I've heard all year.
Right? So that scene of the wolves destroying the beaver's home is real wolves, but not their real tails, because those wolves were having way too good of a time, and we needed them to be scary. But yeah, that's it. Those are all our fun facts. That was our review of Justice League. It's pretty okay. You should go see it. You won't hate it, probably. You might. I don't know. But that's all we got. Tune back next Tuesday. Oh, remember to go vote.
Yeah, go vote on our Christmas movie, A Christmas Carol poll. Tell us which version of A Christmas Carol you would like for us to watch.
Next Tuesday, we'll have our full episode on Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe.
It's gonna be great.
It's gonna be super great.